This meeting is
Thanks
being
all of you for
recorded.
volunteering to help. And my goal is to go over an agenda for how this group's going to move forward. This group formed last semester and we had meetings and then took a pause as I regrouped to help organize our project. So we have a more structured approach to take our project forward internationally. And I'll do a PowerPoint presentation summarizing our efforts to date, where we're going, what the opportunities are for those who want to be involved and volunteer. And I'll save time after I do the presentation for lengthy question discussion. So try and hold off so I can get to the PowerPoints first, then we can certainly spend all kind of time talking about details and questions you have. Sound good? I'm going to share my screen and switch to PowerPoint just a second. So International Research Team, I've been doing international research and practice for about 8 years now. And this is really an extension, continuation of my work and an expansion of my work. And bottom line is I need help. I'm doing my full-time professor gig teaching. I'm doing work on a USAID project, which I'll describe today. I have other kind of projects I'm working on, and I'm spread pretty thin. And that's the bad news. The good news is the opportunity is great for achieving a vision of having the Dr. Behavioral Health program or the College of Health Solutions become really a hub for global research on integrated behavioral health. And that's my vision for this group. But we'll start with where to go from the first baby steps today. So I'm going to cover several things. One is the ongoing USAID project we've been running now. We're in our 3rd year. The second is grant applications that I plan to apply for. And last of all, help wanted. In particular, what kind of competencies am I looking for from you as volunteers, as students, graduates, or faculty? And in particular, next steps. How can we move forward in a way that's going to be clear how you can contribute? So the USAID research project is a study of integrated behavioral health in Asia. I'll describe the project in detail, but it began with my learning about USAID project funding in ASU, and we had several students we sent abroad for a full semester back in 2017. At that point, we had a student in Beijing, one in Thailand, one in Vietnam. We then had the program repeat again in 2018, and we had another student added in Cambodia, and we continued our students in Thailand and Vietnam. And this year we have 2 students going this summer for an engagement in Cambodia and again in Vietnam. I'll cover that in detail. That was kind of a springboard for research, and I also used the opportunity to identify colleagues internationally I've grown to know over the years, typically university professors or medical directors or both. We're looking for research collaboration to promote integrated behavioral health. I developed research teams with the goal of applying for grant funding to really take projects to scale. And so I'm working on 2 parallel paths. One USAID project, which is kind of collecting, analyzing data. The other is new grant applications. I need help from you folks on both those fronts. A quick summary of who the leadership is to date on this team. Of course, I've been leading the effort. Roger Kessler, you may know him as a faculty in the DBH program in the College of Health Solutions. He's a mentor of mine in terms of research and a good colleague. Dr. C.R. Mackey, of course, has been with the DBH program for a long time, leading the internship program, and now also has interest in leading research programs in the College of Health Solutions. Shi-Yu Yu, I met him a couple of years ago. He's an assistant professor in the School of Social Work at ASU. He's a social worker by training, but his vision and goal was to try and develop social work as a new workforce for integrated behavioral health in China and internationally. And last and not least is Jen Rolfs, a biostatistician and DBH candidate. And most importantly, she volunteered to help create the databases we have in Excel, now SPSS, for all the USAID data. And I'll summarize that in just a moment. So Jen, I think you're on. Again, a big thank you for your work. This is the group of current leadership. However, as we move forward, I envision some of you stepping up to take leadership roles in this program. And I'll say, first of all, this is a large group. I think 30-something students volunteered. I'm happy to see that. I don't expect everybody to suddenly drop everything you're doing in terms of your DBH studies, your jobs, your families, and devote yourself to this project. If you can do some small things to help in a very defined way, that's perfectly all right. However, I'm looking for people that want to step up, want the opportunity to take a leadership role on different aspects of this project, because I cannot do it all myself. I can't lead all different opportunities we have here. So I'm happy to mentor people, find mentors in our team to help any of you that want to step up and take a leadership role. Leadership meaning you'll take a certain aspect of this project that's available. You'll say, I want to try and drive this, and we'll help you do that. But that's kind of what I especially need on this project, people that want to lead and go forward. You don't have to be a leader, but if you are interested in that, let me know. I'll make an opportunity available to you. So for USAID, we did a study where we wanted to have each student go out to a different site in China or Southeast Asia and study integrated behavioral health in each community. We wanted to have ideally a community health center, or if not that, a hospital. And we had 3 measures we did in every single site. For the provider level, you're probably familiar with the tool called the Practice Integration Profile. That measure is a measure of integration for a clinic. Does it have, what level of integration does it have in terms of availability of screening and treatment for behavioral and lifestyle conditions? Are the staff integrated, working together, medical and behavioral? It's really a measure that's completed by a leader of the site to define what % of integration they have currently. That measure, I have the URL here, and I'll make this PowerPoint available to all of you after the meeting. The website, you can see it. You can go ahead and enter the integration profile online, get results. That's one measure we use. We had each clinic kind of define level of integration. Secondly, we had a patient level self-report measure, a health risk assessment, a series of short questions to identify patient risk factors such as nutrition, physical activity, depression, anxiety, sleep patterns. The patients all completed that questionnaire. And we also polled for the patients who completed that questionnaire from medical records, their blood pressure, BMI, and blood glucose levels. And last of all, I did a provider survey, a survey for clinicians, physicians, nurses, community health workers in these clinics to ask them, number one, for about 20 common symptoms, behavioral and lifestyle, how prevalent are they in your practice? And secondly, for each of those same symptoms, how much do you think you need a behavioral health consultant to help you with that patient population? So we're having measures to look at leadership, ratings of integration, provider need for integration, and patient level of severity for health problems to see their need for integrated behavioral health services. So in some respects, this would be a needs assessment for integrated behavioral health in Asia. These are our settings we've used from 2017 to the present. So Chiang Mai is in Thailand. We use the Faculty of Nursing there. Ho Chi Minh University School of Medicine and Dentistry in Vietnam. We use Capital Medical Center only our first year because after the first year, USAID no longer funded research in China. 2018, we continued with Chiang Mai and Ho Chi Minh. We added Faculty of Social Work at a university in Bangkok, Thailand. And we added the Ministry of Health with a study in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. And in 2019, we're going to extend our work in Cambodia. We're doing a different site in Phnom Penh, adding 3 more sites in the country outside of Phnom Penh. In Vietnam, we switched from using Ho Chi Minh Medical School to using Hanoi Medical University in Hanoi for a different experience there. That's our current settings. So for each of these settings, we have in 2017, 18, and now 19, those 3 or 4 key measures I mentioned either collected or being collected for all of them. We're trying to find out from this study these following research questions. What's the level of behavioral health integration in clinics in Asia? compared to the United States? What's the provider perceived need for integrated health services and need for a behavioral health consultant if it was available? You have to realize in China and Asia, we don't have behavioral health consultants working in primary care settings. You have dedicated physicians, nurses, some of who become experts on addressing health and behavior change, but the majority of clinical care in these countries is simply physicians and nurses doing medication management only, very high patient volume of visits, very short visits for medication administration. There are exceptions to that. We found, for example, some nurses in Thailand doing great work on diabetes self-management programs. We found community health workers in Thailand helping to complement the nurses' work. But in general, we think there's a real lack of behavioral health clinicians. What are the results of a health risk assessment for patients? We targeted patients who had already diagnosed type 2 diabetes and or hypertension. We wanted to have more of a homogeneous patient population for comparability, so we use that to define the patient population. And of course, what are their cardiometabolic risk factors, their BMI, blood sugar, blood pressure. So we expect integration to be low. We expect provider need to be high. We expect the patient risk assessment to show a high need for integrated behavioral health services. And we really want to try and use the results of this study to report back to our colleagues in each of these countries, both our key stakeholders, university, hospitals, clinics, but also their government leaders to try and make the business case why they should try and do more pilot studies of integrated behavioral health in their countries. So it's really a combination of a research study and an entrepreneurship approach to try and leverage our results to increase integrated behavioral health in Asia. Now I'll get specific about opportunities for all of you. One is we now have a point where we have all the data analyzed. We've done some initial reporting in the data, and we're now ready to start developing teams for each site to begin working with them to publish papers based on the research. Our first step will be doing a concept paper describing the entire project. We'll write that just describing all the measures, all the countries, some of the initial findings. Then we'll do a paper for each site. One paper for Ho Chi Minh showing their results for 2017 to 18, et cetera. So I'm looking for individuals who want to do work on these papers to join the colleagues in ASU and in these international sites, to work with them, to project manage, do research, literature reviews. And you can pick your interest. You can pick, if you want, one country, one site within one country. Again, don't feel pressured to do more than you can, but certainly look for your interest and let me know what you want to work on. The second opportunity besides USAID is grant applications. So I've done a number of grant applications. They're very competitive. I've applied to NIH, National Institute of Health, and the Fogarty International Center, which is emphasizing US funding for international research. And so far I'm getting like 0 for 5. I develop research teams, and I've got great mentors in ASU. I'm not a hardcore NIH researcher. I haven't got the credentials for that. My role is more of to bring people together. So I've gotten some great NIH level researchers in ASU, some great researchers internationally. I'm bridging them together, bringing them together, and working on applications for international funding. Now, right now, the key team includes, in the College of Health Solutions, my colleague, Matt Booman. He's developed a smartphone app called BeWell24. This app is designed to provide feedback in real time using a Fitbit accelerometer on your activity level, your sedentary behavior, your sleep behavior, and now nutrition. And it's unique. You probably know, if you're familiar with apps for health, most have not been validated. Dr. Booman has validated this app in a couple of NIH-funded studies in the Veterans Administration. And one of my goals now is to take the BeWell24 smartphone app and translate it so we can use this internationally in Thailand, in Vietnam, and Cambodia. So I have Dr. Booman on board and his technicians on that project. And we're looking for multiple grants to fit the bill for doing that. And the good news is right now there are many different grants looking for applying health technology internationally, because the problem we have internationally, I mentioned, you have a lack of workforce. You have a lack of physicians, lack of nurses, very few, if any, behavioral health specialists. So using health technology to bring behavior change to the individual patient in their home, in their workplace, with the clinician to guide them is certainly a desirable way to go, an evidence-based way to go to have greater reach and effectiveness. So I found a number of grants that I'm still looking to apply for, looking for help on that. I'll go over some of them briefly right now. One I'm working on right now is called USAID Development Innovation Ventures Grant. This is a grant that's specifically for applying technology internationally. So our goal is to use the B-Well24 app. This grant is structured into 3 different phases, if you will. We're going to apply for phase 1, more of a proof of concept. And the goal is to take the existing B-Well24 app, translate it into multiple languages, certainly into Thai, Khmer in Cambodia, and in Vietnamese, and do some testing of the app to make sure it's appropriate for each population. When that's completed, to then apply for a stage 2 grant. This is a grant in progress. If you have any interest in health behavior change, apps for behavior change, nurses and community health workers using apps to help promote behavior change, this would be a great project to become involved in. The Fogarty International Center is one of the key United States funding sources for international research. I have here the landing page for the center, and we're working on one grant currently. It's due July 8th. This is on addressing effective interventions for hypertension. So the same thing, I'm trying to find some ways to use the same research group to apply to multiple grants. We'll use our research group for the B-Well24 project and apply that for this hypertension grant. I should mention also our core partners to date have been National University of Singapore. There's a nurse, doctoral nurse, who's been developing and testing an app for diabetes. She's really our international app expert in addition to Matt Blumen. We have the AI department, artificial intelligence department there, and the director of that unit trying to have us use machine learning and AI to apply to the app. We've had the faculty at the Chiang Mai University Faculty of Nursing, 2 faculty there very involved supporting our project. I expect to add to that core group representatives from Cambodia and from Vietnam in the next 6 months. I'll just give you a quick glance. This is the Fogarty International Center page. I encourage you to kind of visit these pages and just scroll through. I'm explaining my areas of interest. If you have an interest in something else, I'm open to addressing that also, a different country, a different approach. But you can see here just quickly, there are many different opportunities for different kind of research. There are focuses on global infectious disease, global chronic disease, establishing research training programs, HIV/AIDS research. These are all common areas of research that are funded. So you can basically scroll through these, hit one of these, and get more information about the grant opportunity. Next, I need help exploring a new grant opportunity. I've been going through some excellent mentoring in the College of Health Solutions. I've joined a research support group that's focusing on dissemination and implementation science. How do you take randomized controlled research and extend it to applied settings? And one of my colleagues alerted me to this website, SBIR-STTR. This is a government funding for combining small businesses with universities and offering funding on innovative projects. My feedback is that this is a little bit less competitive than going through NIH. And in particular, if you have a small business, you can use that to launch your small business along with the university. So in one example, I have my own business that I've been using for work in China and Southeast Asia. I can use that business and apply for grants. If any of you have your own business and want to look for the same kind of approach, I'd be open to that. But this is something new to me. I'm just exploring this website right now. Any of you want to be entrepreneurs, interested in small business, want to help me explore this website, look for opportunities, I welcome you. I had the key website landing page here. And I found multiple examples of upcoming requests for proposals, RFPs, that are all about health technology and chronic disease or health behaviors. So again, a wealth of opportunities here. Looking for help, sifting through them, identifying the right ones, getting coaching how to apply for this kind of grant. So next, what do I need from you? Competencies. I want to be very clear the kind of help I need, because one challenge we had in the fall when we first started this group was not being clear in terms of what you could do individually to help these projects along. So I want to do a better job this time with the existing and new group, identifying your specific interest, your specific competencies, and how you can join either of these projects, USAID or grant writing, and contribute in a way that fits your time and your availability and your skill set. So for USAID, we have country-specific needs for writing research papers, literature reviews. Can someone please do a literature review for me on the prevalence, epidemiology, and current treatment approaches for hypertension and type 2 diabetes in Thailand? Can someone do the same thing for Cambodia, the same thing for Vietnam? Writing literature reviews. One is getting the articles. The second is writing. Are you a good writer? Are you good at synthesizing research and putting together articles in a very concise, clear way? We need that kind of help. Are you good at data analysis and reporting? We have initial reports we've done with our data in SPSS. We need to drill down more for each site and do initially just some descriptive statistics for each site, but then moving on from that site-specific to comparative analysis, comparing the results from Thailand to Vietnam to Cambodia. And last of all, writing the results up and discussion sections. So if you're an expert, if you really love research design methodology, statistical analysis, that's your thing, I'd like to have you help on that aspect. If you're good at finding research and pulling together articles, you're really good at that using PubMed or other kind of sources, you can help on that. If you're an excellent writer, you can help take the research articles you find and pull them together in a way that makes sense. So that's more of the writing skills, the competencies I'm looking for. In addition, there's consultation and project management skills, meaning I'll need to form teams for each site. There'll be a ASU Chiang Mai team, ASU Ho Chi Minh team. With a key stakeholder, one or more from that site, our USAID key stakeholders, and holding regular meetings to figure out how are we going to work on analyzing data. What are the deliverables that I need to have from you to help us publish papers in a timely way? How can we review drafts of papers, develop co-authorship, identifying target journals for publishing in, submitting to journals, getting feedback from editors, resubmitting. That's more of the consultation management part beyond the writing. So I'll take the lead in these things and inform these groups. I could certainly look for anyone who wants to take a leadership role or contribute as you can to these different kind of projects here. This is for USAID. For grant writing, similar but different competencies. So first, the art and science of reading an RFP, request for proposal. The request for proposal is often very specific on what the need they're trying to meet is. They'll be very detailed, defining for hypertension, we need this or this. For diabetes, this or this. I need people that can have the skill to read between the lines and read the lines, see what's needed, and then link to find out in the existing research what's supporting and what can we do to support that and apply for that grant. Given our current team, our team that includes, a smartphone app, behavior change specialist, AI, machine learning, how can we take our group and make the best application to fit that grant exactly? And then how do we write that grant up so it's a killer grant in terms of how it's put together and written? The research strategy is simply the proposal for a grant. It includes literature review, what's called an aim statement, your impact, your methods, research design analysis. So we have, some experts, some heavy guns in ASU that can help guide this, but I'll need, foot soldiers to help take steps for all the different countries and for these grants in particular to try and put together proposals. And last of all, health technology. If you have any expertise in health technology on app development, wearables, remote Bluetooth monitoring of blood pressure, blood sugar, activity trackers, Fitbits you can wear and get information, AI machine learning. These are all very technical aspects of the grants, and the more I can get help on these, the better. So you can see there's a lot of work to go around. And if you only have one small area you want to contribute, that's perfectly fine. If you want to take on more and drive things, that's fine too. Think about what your strengths are. Are you good at managing projects? Are you good at diving into detail and doing research? Are you good at writing? Let me know what your competencies are, and I'll try and match you with the need and develop project teams and a project plan. So next steps, I plan to do a SurveyMonkey, kind of outlining all the opportunities here, the competencies, and have you complete that so you can let me see what your interests are. I have a Dropbox I'll make available to all of you with different details for all these projects. We need to develop a project plan overall. I made a first draft of one, but one for each specific project for the Ho Chi Minh publication plan, for the concept paper, for the grant applications. And we can have ad hoc meetings as needed as people show interest and grow. I like to hopefully find leaders to step up and lead groups on different meetings. I'll certainly assist, but I can't lead, obviously, 6 different meetings on papers. It's not going to be effective. I need help, and that's what I'm looking for all of you. We'll keep this meeting monthly. I think any more frequent than that is really not effective. I think the work should be done ad hoc in small subcommittees, and we can report back our progress here. We can meet more frequently as needed, but I don't think there'll be a need to meet more than monthly. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment and really have a chance to open up for discussion, questions, anything you want to bring up now. Now is the time, and I'd like to hear from you. Feel free.
Hi, this is Jen. I just want to say a couple of things. So I know a lot of people are super intimidated by statistics and methodology, but I want to say that
your personal interest, your stories.
I know. So as
don't feel pressured.
Yeah. As a statistician for so many years being involved in biostatistics, I want to say that if you are a student or a faculty member or wherever you are in your career field, please see me as a person who is here to support your learning, but also needs your support as far as workload. So as Dr. O'Donnell has said, there have been so many things that we have tried to do and we have wanted to do, but we just don't have enough manpower and enough hours in the day. So please don't feel like getting involved in methodology or statistical analysis or data entry is something beyond your skill set. I'm definitely here to support you and teach you and mentor you in that respect. I've taught statistics and math at a university level for the last 10 to 12 years, and I'm a DBH candidate, but having said that, statistics has always been my true love and my passion. So I would encourage any of you who find any little inkling of interest to reach out to me or to Dr. O'Donnell. Probably Dr. O'Donnell first because he's going to be organizing a lot of this, but you know, definitely want your help, definitely need your help, and I'm here to support you. So that's my message.
Just give me an example of how that would work. I mean, example. So Jen can do common reports for all the sites. She can do descriptives, maybe some chi-square, maybe some ANOVAs, and have the results available. She can't spend the time then going over with each site their results, but she can certainly coach all of you through some meetings how to interpret those results, how to talk to your international sites about the results, how to communicate, how to use those in the publication, so we can put together our resources and become more efficient. Even if you haven't got deep experience, we can coach you in that.
That sounds great.
Douglas, I have a quick question about the practice integration profile. If we're using this internationally, is that diluting the data set that we're gathering here in the US as well, or is there some compartmentalization for those data sets?
It's been compartmentalized. If you're familiar with the PIP, it's completed typically online in the United States by anybody that wants to do so. Any clinic can go ahead and log on and use it. We've only had our sites completed by paper and pencil.
Oh,
We have not entered that data into the national data set. We are working with developers. Once we have a sense of, is this PIP valid? Is it really reliable? Is it comparable? We may do that down the road. And our goal is to develop an international PIP, but we're at the very early stages of doing that.
sure. Okay.
Other questions?
Dr. O'Donnell, this is Lori Signorelli. When you're talking about project management, could you kind of describe like a day in the life or what you're specifically, expecting from that,
Sure.
using a site as an example?
Project management means you'll take on a discrete, task or project. I'm going to take on helping Ho Chi Minh write their first paper about the results of 2017, 2018 USAID research. I'm going to, in my project, define key deliverables. For example, you could think about a Word, a spreadsheet, line 1, hold initial meeting, hold follow-up meetings, identify key stakeholders. Who are the key
Okay.
people in Ho Chi Minh? Number 2, key
Sure.
tasks. Literature review needs to be written. Complete the data analysis, write up the results. Those are all steps that I need someone to help drive, not to do all those steps. Ideally, I have enough people to delegate things to, but the project manager role will be, I'm going to be helped to schedule, move things along. If I'm the project manager for Ho Chi Minh, I might have another student volunteer for literature review, another student volunteer for research, data analysis, and reporting. I'll have to work with the host to see who their people are and make sure I'm coordinating their interests and their needs. So that's an example of a project manager.
Okay.
If I try and manage all these projects, I'm sure I'll fail. So if that's something you're good at, I'll help you. And we'll develop some tools for project management.
Yeah,
That's really a critical role.
I do a lot of it. That's why I was asking what, specifically you were thinking. So.
Great question.
Ron, for those of us who are alumni, are you looking for us to be in more of a mentorship role, interacting with students who are still in the program, or are you envisioning that we would actually take the lead on some of these pillars?
I'd say this is a level playing field. If you want to mentor students, that's a strength. You're welcome to do that. If you want to just contribute, that's also fine. There are no rules here. It's more important for me to find people with the right skill sets to plug in to the needs we have for this massive project, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. And you're going to use that SurveyMonkey to kind of break down our skills and kind of do the drafting. Is that correct?
I'll take this PowerPoint presentation and use, I'll do a very basic SurveyMonkey. If you did take it too complicated, it'll take forever, but I'll just put down the countries, the sites, the papers, the grants, the competencies, and kind of a matrix. What are your interests in terms of countries, if any? What are your competencies, especially? What things are you good at? That's really important for me to know. I think SurveyMonkey is better for me to use that for the whole group rather than trying to have you email me and do it by discussion. After I see some results, we'll then put together groups and talk in subgroups perhaps. That'd be a first step.
Sounds good.
Let me cover some of the benefits for your offering your time and resources here. Certainly, if one of your goals is to simply accrue some publications or presentations, this would be a great opportunity for doing that. We're focusing on publications. That's the most important thing. When you publish, though, doing presentations at conferences is an easy next step, either domestically in the United States or internationally. If you have an interest in becoming an expert and perhaps being a consultant internationally in a certain country, this could be a springboard for that. I can't guarantee anybody funding to go study abroad, but if you work on a grant and you're part of the grant application and you fund yourself, and we have part of the grant, doing a site visit to help establish the project, that could be a path you take. in my case, for example, I'm full-time ASU professor. That's my main responsibility, but I'm interested in expanding and doing consulting internationally. I've been doing that for a number of years now and looking forward to expanding that role and having others who are interested do the same. I'm trying to share the wealth. The opportunity is amazing the demand for integrated care is huge in these countries. The funding is out there. Finding the time and resource to obtain these fundings is the next step here.
Excellent. No, that's very, very exciting.
It is exciting. It's a lot of work, though. I don't want to minimize the work, but I'm really committed to trying to do a good job of developing a project plan. You can all contribute. I can orchestrate things with other leaders, and we'll try and find a good fit for everyone who wants to be involved as we go along the way here. But I do want to be aggressive and try to, this year have published papers ready for publication by the fall winter for all these sites. And other grant applications in the works also. I see at least 3 or 4 grants we're going to apply for, a couple very soon, a couple more in the fall, and looking for help on more. And the more we use the same team for similar grants, we can really capitalize on efficiencies and have ourselves do a lot more to accomplish more and get more funding opportunities. Let me hear from some of you. I'd be curious what your motivation is for joining this group. I'm just informally. Let me know what your interests are.
This is Kasia Gilpatrick. I wanted to join. I am an alumnus. I graduated 2017 from DBH, and I just love research. So when I saw your email, Dr. Dano, I was very excited to join the group and do something, because I work in a mental health field with clients, so it's a little bit different. We don't do much research there, so to me it's just exciting to be a part of something like that.
Whenever I hear someone in this group say, I love research, that's music to my ears. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I would second that. I think everything adds to the body of knowledge and helps us provide better care for people and better outcomes. So,
Other folks.
Well, Ron, you know me, but I
this is
don't
correct.
so I'm just interested because I did my work in Cuba and Guatemala and Mexico, kind of brought in some of the national health system in Ireland and the UK, and I just have a really strong interest in international delivery models, and it's fascinating the way the integrated care delivery models kind of coalesce and morph depending on the cultures and social determinants of health and major sociopolitical factors in each of the different countries. So while I have not touched Asia at this point, I do have a mountain of my own work that I've done in Latin America, and I definitely want to kind of keep my foot in that swimming pool.
Yeah, one quick comment about that. If you have an interest in a certain country that is not Southeast Asia, that's okay. I'll entertain that. I have to be careful about spreading myself too thin, but I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, one of our graduates was from Africa, wanted to try and use his contacts in Africa and try and support integrated behavioral health. That kind of died out, but then recently one of my other students had the same interest, so I connected the two of them together. The graduate agreed to go back to his contacts in the country and see if they're interested still in trying to support a project. The student agreed to do the work about looking for grant funding, doing the connection, the project management. So they're off on that tangent. I'll help mentor, oversee them, but if they're willing to do the work, I'm happy to go other places besides Southeast Asia. That's where I'm staying because I can't do any more. I'm already maxed out. But if you have an interest somewhere else, you find a grant especially. There are some grants, for example, right now for Africa, for South America, for the Middle East. You can certainly support that and work on that in this group as a long-term project. I heard you were going to speak up, Karu.
Yeah. So I'm actually interested for two reasons. One is obviously Cambodia and Chiang Mai, where I completed the research in 2018, is now close to my heart, and so I want to see where this goes and continue to have that grow. And then the other reason is because I believe that it's a two-way street, and I think that we can learn from them as well. So, you know, taking that research and publishing it and sharing the ideas would probably be beneficial for the US. But yeah, I just want to stay involved.
That's a great point. You know, we talk about a negative, the fact that they have such a high volume of patients and very short visits, but it's also amazing production line. You know, we visited in Cambodia, one of the clinics there, and you know, it was just packed with patients, and they had a small group of psychiatrists, very dedicated, keeping people moving through. People were not complaining or fighting. They were just a lot of people there moving through to their visits, moving through the pharmacy line, moving through to pay their bills. You know, we have our doctors complain about seeing 25 patients a day. They're often seeing 100, 140 patients a day there. So it's you can learn about efficiencies from that. Again, you don't want to try and duplicate that model because a short medication visit is not the goal for the healthcare system for chronic disease, right? But it's certainly things we can take away from them to learn about.
Right.
It's amazing what those cultural differences do to people. Don't mind waiting in line in some countries, and here in the US we would never stand for that.
Other folks want to talk about their motivation and interest.
I think for me, there's a little bit of everything that people have already said that is interesting to me and of interest.
Anybody have any interest in your own professional career, developing a side business on either consulting internationally or developing a product internationally? It could be an online learning module, it could be an app, it could be other kind of health technology. Anybody have interest in developing that as a career path?
Well, Dr. O'Donnell, this is Lori. I am a consultant, and I definitely look to do those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So.
One good thing about China and Southeast Asia, you know, the United States, the market is pretty saturated with competition, right? You have some huge players with very deep pockets doing some great work in chronic disease management, prevention, integrated healthcare. In China and Southeast Asia, it's more like the Wild West. They have a great need, but they haven't got deep pockets. So the big U.S. companies are not really trying to penetrate at this point. And if you want to go out there and establish a local presence, you're not going to make tons of money at first, but the opportunity to go to scale is certainly there, especially if you have any kind of online product you can develop or technology product to extend your consulting beyond face-to-face work. And as I mentioned, the need is so great. They really know they need to do more as clinicians, as hospital administrators, and as government leaders. But they're just stretched thin. You know, the funding in Cambodia is very poor for healthcare. Vietnam, not much better. Mm-hmm. Thailand is very different. They have a national health insurance, pretty interesting, robust programs there for disease management, at least in the urban areas, not so much in the rural. So there's really a lot of variation by country, even within countries, variation between clinics. So it's a fascinating experience. I think you'll enjoy getting involved in.
Dr. O'Donnell, this is Yiting. I'm actually in Asia right now. I am trying to see if I can extend this kind of horizon to India. I don't know about India's market potential right now. You know, do you have any insight?
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick story how, you know, I got involved in China because I met a psychologist from Hong Kong at a DBH conference in Los Angeles. He said, "Geez, this would be a great match for China." I put together a team of ASU DBH faculty and project managers to go out and do a roadshow in China. We found great interest, but no real student recruitment back in that time. It wasn't the right fit for a DBH and Chinese students. But over time, I got involved with some other groups, and in particular, I hooked up with a group in Taiwan where psychiatrists held an annual conference developing mental health platform for Asia, for South and Southeast Asia. And it was invitation only, and it invited basic psychiatrists, psychiatric nurses from almost every country you can imagine, from India through Southeast Asia up to South Korea and Taiwan. And the conference was unique. It's relatively small, about 200 people, maybe 300. We'd arrive there and spend about 7 to 10 days at the conference, a couple days in Taipei doing presentations. Then we'd hop into buses and travel around the country, visiting hospitals and clinics, talking to staff, having presentations. So in effect, if you're good at networking, you become very close friends with colleagues. So I now literally have close colleagues in India, obviously Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, but also Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, South Korea, Taiwan, and Myanmar. I've called in favors from these folks to have USAID placements, and I could do more. These are all people willing to help, interested in being involved in USA research. I just haven't got the bandwidth to add those countries yet, but the opportunity is there. So I have at least maybe 4 or 5 good contacts in India, Yiting, I could share with you and work with.
Sure. This will be my long-term plan, hopefully in the next year or two. But I can certainly help out with other management type of work, including project management.
Mm-hmm. That'd be great. I think that's all I wanted to cover today. So I'm going to wrap things up here so I can get back and watch NBA playoffs now. I scheduled this meeting at the same time as the first game of the Western Finals. So I got to get back to that now. But thank you all for your participation. And for those who are going to watch the recording, thank you all. And I'll in short order do the SurveyMonkey survey, and I'll put together a Dropbox that has the data you can look at. It's in a read-only, so you can't mess it up. You can look at the data for each site. There's a data dictionary there. I'll put together some of the grant PDFs. You can look at those. I'll identify some of the key country contacts, and I'll spend the next 4 weeks between now and next meeting identifying people that want to work on projects. And if you want to work on, in particular, the hypertension or the USAID DIV grant, I'll make that clear in the SurveyMonkey. I'm looking for help right now on those. Those are emergent things I'm working on at this moment. So you can jump right in or take your time. So I'll take it from there, folks. If you have any questions, always feel free to email me. I'm happy to do a quick consult on the fly with any of you if you have an interest you want to talk about individually. But I expect us to have some subgroups formed very quickly, especially for each site for a paper and for the concept paper overall, and we'll take it from there.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night, and we'll talk
Thank
next time.
you.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you.